push on that. There you go.
Hi there, this is Ray with Easy Simple Mechanic, and today we're gonna see if we can troubleshoot the AC on this 2015 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. I believe it's the Sport. So let's see if we can figure out what's going on with this AC, because it is a scorcher out here in the Southwest, and so we want to make sure that the customer will be satisfied with a nice cool AC. But let's find out what's going on first. Let's get started. Okay, before we get started, the first things that I want to do is look for is to go ahead and start the car with the AC on, so that we can listen for things to try to determine what some of the components are that need to be working. So we're going to be listening for, obviously the fan here is going to be blowing out the vents. We got to listen for the fan in front of the condenser out in front of the car. And we've got to be listening if we can hear the clicking of the compressor clicking on and seeing if it's engaging and continues to stay engaged. So what we'll do is we'll turn it on and we'll see if all of those components are working. But we'll listen for that. And then the third or the fourth thing that I listened for is to see if there's any noise coming from the dash. There might be some grinding or some other noises that you hear underneath the dash, which might indicate that you have a blend door actuator or blend door that's failed and therefore not allowing it to move into the cool position. So before we start, those are the things that I'm going to be listening for when I crank and start this car. So let's get it started. Okay, the fan in here is blowing. Fan in the car is blowing. I don't hear the fan outside blowing. Sorry about that. It was so hot in this car and it was blowing such hot air in the car that my phone quit, and so therefore my camera quit. That's that hot out here. In the meantime, what I did was I didn't, as you heard before, I didn't hear the fan outside, or the compressor wasn't kicking on. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear nothing underneath the dash. I didn't basically hear anything other than the fan inside was working. Okay, since then, since I needed to cool this camera down so that I could use it again, I started playing with the controls. So the first thing I did was I shut off the AC by going to the off position here. I turned the heat from cold to hot, back to cold, and then I turned the fan on. Still didn't work, so I played with the fan switch off and on, just cycling it off and on, and then eventually I turned it to on, and I heard the compressor click outside, and I heard the fan running. So, went out and verified that. So that's where we are, and I've got cold air coming in now, so the AC is actually working. If you heard, if let's say you weren't getting cold air yet, then what we would do is go outside here, and you can hear the fan is running in front. Okay, and the compressor is engaged way down there. So it's turning okay. And then what I do to feel if it's cooling, because you're not getting any cold air in there, is if you just touch this suction line on the low side of the refrigerant system, it should feel cool to the touch. If it doesn't feel cool to the touch, that means it's not cooling. So that checks all the components out here. I just dropped the cap for the water bottle here. So we'll put that back on there. Okay. So as you can see, everything is working out here. So then, so you see, you guys can see here how hot it is. It's 108 out here, and I wanted it to be hot so that we could test this AC out. But as time goes on, my camera shut off again, but as time goes on, I'm starting to feel this AC is waning. It's not cooling as much. I've had it running for a little bit, and it is just toasty, but it's still cooling somewhat. Now, when I first started, it was blowing hot air out. And if I raise the RPMs, it starts to cool, which it should do. So it seems to be working fine on the outside. I'm stepping on the throttle a little bit to get the RPMs up so I can start cooling down the inside of this car, because it is a toasty one. And if we go to testing and my camera keeps shutting off because it's too hot, then we're not going to be able to continue videoing. I'll be able to test, but I won't be able to video. Okay, I don't know where I left off, but I've been trying to cool the inside of this car down. So one of the things you want to see is if you want to make sure if not only are the components working outside, you want to see what the temperature difference is between the ambient air being drawn into the condenser in the front of the car and what it's putting out inside the car. And as you can see here, we're 50 degrees right now, and the ambient temperature is measured by that temperature there, because that's a sensor that's right, underneath over there by where the condenser is. So we're going from 108 to 50 degrees, so that's 58 degrees difference. If you had a 100-degree day, you'd be close to 40 degrees. So the AC is working plenty fine. It doesn't feel as cold as you normally would, because it's 108 degrees out there. So that kind of convinces me the AC system itself is working fine. We got to focus on these controls. I hesitate to turn it off yet until I get this car cooled down a bit on the inside so that my phone won't shut off. Okay guys, so here's the deal. What I noticed, I couldn't videotape some of this because my phone kept shutting off because it was too hot, but here's the deal on this. What I noticed is I was checking the controls on these, right? And what I noticed is that I tried each one of these by just incrementally checking. These got variable speeds on all these controls. This, of course, is the vent blend door that does for switching from the vents to the floor to the defrost, what have you. So I was playing with that, and this seemed to work fine. But what I noticed on this one, as we went this way and turned down the AC, you could come to here and it was shutting off the compressor when I was about right here, which is still, like halfway. It was shutting off the compressor. And so as I went over like this, it was off. So if you turned that thing down at all, then what that tells me is that this deal is not working, or here. So okay guys, to calibrate this control for the blend doors, what you need to do is you need to turn the defrost, turn the fan all the way down to very low, to where you can still hear the compressor running over there, everything's still AC. Okay, we're gonna turn this to defrost. We're gonna turn the temperature to hot, and then we're gonna hold the button until we hear a beep and this light starts to flash. We heard it beeping and then it's flashing, and then now it's okay. So now we can go back. Well, we got to turn it off, and then when we turn it on again, everything should be calibrated once again. And there we go. So yeah, once you're done calibrating, you have to turn it all the way off, turn it back on, and everything is calibrated for the blend doors. This thing here allows you to turn, if you don't have the AC on max, it allows you to turn the compressor off with this button here. So you can turn it off and then turn it back on. But if it's summertime, you want to leave that button to where your compressor is on, whether you have it on max or not. If you have it on max, this light should always be on. You should always have the compressor running with it on max. If it doesn't turn on with it on max, then there's a problem that it's not engaging the compressor. Because, you know, any other time you can have the AC on, which is here, but you can have it with the compressor off, so you can get just vent temperature without AC if you wanted to. Or, you know, if you put it on max, then you're gonna get, you know, max. But if, let's say you just wanted the vent, you didn't want AC on, then you would just turn the compressor off. But if you wanted to actually cool, you're gonna have to turn the compressor on. But if you turn it to max, then it's always going to have the compressor on. Okay, one other thing I noticed is that during this process, one of the times it quit. It quit cooling. Everything here was still functioning, but it quit cooling. So I went outside and I noticed that the clutch on the compressor was not kicking in. Okay, so let me show you what I did to check the compressor clutch. There's a gap on that disc. Let me get out here. I don't know if I can video too long because the phone gets really hot right away. But the compressor clutch down there, I don't know if you can see it. See, it's turning right there. Well, when it's off, let me go turn it off so you can see that gap. Well, you can see that the clutch is not spinning. You can see there's a little gap between the pulley that's turning the compressor and then the little clutch, the piece on the outside, it's not turning. Okay, so if that's not engaging, if that gap is too wide, and even though the clutch is calling for it to engage, if you turn it off, or one of these times, you know, the AC shuts off for whatever reason, controls, or you shut it off, get in the car, if it doesn't close that gap, then it could be that that gap is wore out, the clutch is wore out. You need to change it or adjust that gap. I'll show you how to, there's an easy way to do it on the fly, but you will need to eventually change the clutch out. So what I do is I take a long screwdriver, and you be careful, don't get it caught up in the belt, but you can reach down there and just slightly push on that. There you go. And see that got it to engage. That will get you out of a pinch so that you can, you know, if it's really hot and your clutch isn't engaging And if the gap is the issue, that means the clutch is wore out. So you can see how quickly it got up to, just for that little time, that the clutch was not engaged. But for the time being, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can pull off this outer piece and see if there's shims behind there that I can remove to get that gap a little closer. You can see that gap there. You can see the air gap. It's not that far, but it's not, you know, it could be a weak coil, or it could be, you know, just too far away. So let's get that outer piece off of there and see if we can't do that. Well, what I can see is that we have just one little shim left. It looks like it may be just enough to do that. We got this other little seal looking thing that goes there. So we'll put that there. But I pulled that last shim out. If it works, it might not be for a long time because it is kind of wore out. But I'm gonna do that for now. Might get them down the road for a while until they can get, you know, maybe I might get them down the road through the summer even, and then they'll need to replace that clutch because it is bad. Okay, so it's on there, and gonna leave that shim out and see if that works. That's the diagnosis for this 2015 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. Well, folks, that's gonna do it for this episode. Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys on the next one.